As you can see on my screen that I have already opened up PyCharm. Now, you might think that we've worked with print, input, and all of those, but about list, it's going to be a whole different thing. But one thing which is going to be the same is that we are still going to be using variables. So now the first thing, what I'm going to do is going to be creating myself up a variable. So I'm going to put in, let's say, my friends or maybe my company. So there we go, company equal. And now I'm going to put in my list. Now, when you are working with lists, you have to keep in mind that to use the square bracket instead of the parentheses, which we use. So even if you use this bracket, it's not going to work, okay? So for lists, make sure to keep in mind to use the square bracket all of the time. Now, the first thing, what we have to do is put in our list. So I'm going to put in a double quotation. And now here, I'm going to put in a couple of names. Let's say I'm going to put in Nezuko. Now, after Nezuko, we have our first variable. Now go to the next one, and you have to put in like another one. Let's say if I put in logic. Now, on the next one, put in a comma, and the last one, I'm going to put in, let's say, wrap. Okay? Now, after all of these are done, just go hit on enter, and I'm going to put in print. Now, if inside print, if I put in the variable company, and if I just play the whole thing, you can basically see all of them has been printed out on the console. Now, one thing you can see, we have used all of them at once. Now, if I cut these quotations over here, and if I try to work with it, you can basically see this is how it's going to be working like. But one thing you will find out is that when we are trying to get the values of any friends, it's not going to work. Now, I'm going to show you why. Okay, let's just show you why first, and then let's get on with why we use it. So now you can see company. Now, if we want to find out any specific value, let's say I'm going to make another space over here for you to understand. So even though you have listed orders or listed data, so even on listed data, it is also going on a specific index. So the first name on the list is going to be 0. Now on the next one, it's going to be, let's say 1. And the next one is going to be, let's say 2. So this is how the index goes, 0, 1, and 2, and goes on and on. Okay, now if I want to find out any index of any specific list, what I want to do is put in another square bracket inside of it. And now if I put in the index 0, and if I play it out, you can basically see this is going to show us as an error. Okay, why? Because this is not turned as a list anymore. So to turn them into a list of each and every one, you have to put in double quotations on each and every one of them. So I'm going to put in double quotations over here. There we go. So now we have all of them. And now if I play it, you can basically see this is how it's going to show me, because I have to put in a comma and a bit of space on each and every one. Play it back again, and you will basically see this is how it is showing me. Okay, now you can see why is it still showing me this error. Now you might think that, okay, this is still not working. But one thing you have to always keep in mind is that when you are working with print, and also when you are working with a specific variable, this is not going to work just the way you want to as an alphabetical, numerical, or Boolean value. So first thing you always have to keep in mind is that always keep these double quotations on each and every one. Okay, you can also put in this comma after each and every one of them. If you do not put this comma, it's basically not going to work. Okay, and now here you're going to put in a bit of space, close up the parentheses, and keep this just the way it is. Okay, so I'm going to cut off this line, keep it similar, or keep it just the way it is, play up the whole thing, and now you can see we have Nezuko as the answer. Okay, so always make sure to not put anything inside. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to do is going to be showing you over here is that how you're going to change the values. Now if you put in number 1, it's going to show me logit as the answer. If I put in number 2, it will show me graph as the answer. Now we're working with positive numerical values, but what if you want to work with negative values? So if you want to use negative values, if I put in -1 and if I hit on like play, it's going to show me ref. Now, why is it working like that? It's because Nezuko is still on -2. So if I put in, let's say -2 or 3, hit on enter and play, you can see it's going to show me Nezuko. Now this time it is working as 0 right over here and minus values over here. So you'll be able to work with minus values and positive values at the same time. Let me show it to you again. Let's just take it over here. If it is on the positive value, it's going to be 0. Then it's going to be 1. And the last one is going to be 2. But if we are on the negative value, you can see after this or after the list, it's going to be 0. And then over here, it's going to be -1. Over here, it's going to be -2. And over here, it's going to be -3. Okay? So basically, this is how it is going to work. And you have to also keep that thing in mind. Okay? So basically, this is just simple arithmetics and simple math. But you can also work it or work it up in Python too. Now, you might think that, okay, we only have 3 values. So I'm going to show you a couple more, put in a comma. Now I'm going to put in double quotation and I'm going to keep or add more of these values. So if I put in Dan, comma, and if I'm going to do is going to be putting in this one. There we go, comma, space, then double quotation again. And if I put in your, okay, there we go. We have 5. Now I'm going to put in, let's say, a last one over here. If I put in red, okay. So there we go. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these values. Now inside, if I put in, let's say 5 as the value and play it up, it will show me red as the answer. If I put in, let's say 6, which is no value over here, play it up, and there you can see there is no 6 or list index out of range because there is no value as 6. But over here, if we start off with a negative value, which is -5, it will show me Nezuko as the answer. But the same way, we cannot go anywhere after 5. If I put in like this, and if I play it up, it will show me an error again. But you can see still this is 6, so I'm going to put in, let's say 7, hit on enter, and you can see there is no value as 7, okay? Because 0, there is no value. So if we try putting in 0 anytime, it will also show me Nezuko as the answer, okay? So now you know how you'll be able to work up with list. But another thing, what I'm going to show you is about how you can use ratio, okay? So now let's say, even though we are using just simple values, what if I want to use, let's say 1 is to 3 or 1 is to any value? Okay, so when you're using ratio, you have to keep one thing in mind is that it's going to take 1, which is going to be 1 over here as logic. Now, if I put in 2 and if I play it up, it's going to show me logic as the answer. But what happened to 2? So it's going to take out the value in between 1 and 2. So 1 is just the base and inside there is no value. So it's going to be only logic. So if I keep it 1, let's say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I put in 5 over here, it's going to like remove red and put it everything inside of logic, ref, Dan, and your over here. Okay, so keep that thing in mind. If I put in 6 and if I play it up, you can see we have all of them. Now, if I put in, let's say 0 is to 2, hit on enter, and it's going to show me 2 of these Nezuko and logic as the answer. Now, it could also be numerical values at the same time and Boolean at the same time. If I put in like 2 over here, and if I, instead of this, I'm going to put in, let's say, false as the answer and play the whole thing up, we'll basically see Nezuko and 2. Now here, what I'm going to do is going to be keeping it 0 is to 6. Hit on play, and you can see we have Nezuko, 2, ref, false, your, and red. So I'm going to do is going to be cutting off these parts, so it's also going to know that there is a number inside of it, because when you're working with lists, Python already analyzes and reads the whole thing and finds out which value is alphabetical, which value is Boolean, and which value is numerical. So you don't have to worry about putting extra codes such as, let's say float or integer for Python to understand in a specific list when you are working on any project. Okay, and I can see over here we have an error, which is over here. Okay, so you can turn them on and off. You can see no new line at the end of file 2. So there is no new line, but if you want to make more lists, it's also up to you. You can also increase it up. Now you can also add up more and work on at the same time. If you want to add, let's say, a new line over here, that is also basically up to you how you want to work with it. But it's going to be still the same when you add up, the same commands, or when you follow up these commands and these keywords and also the format. So thank you for watching this video up till the very end, and hope you understood about everything in this class. If you still have any confusion or any question about any part of this class, feel free to ask me anytime. I'm always there to help you out. So without any further ado, let's move on to our next class of Python.